There are various apps for running local AI, but one of my favourites is AnythingLLM by Mintplex Labs, a free open source program that can run AI models locally and privately on a home computer. Versatile, easy to use, and comprising an impressive evolving feature set, it's available for Windows, Mac and Linux. Head to AnythingLLM.com, click download, then install the app. I'm going to assume you all know how to install an app, so let's jump to the end of the setup process. On first run, the app will prompt you to download a model, also known as a large language model or LLM, essentially the brain of your AI chatbot. Its default suggestion should be appropriate for your hardware's capabilities. If you want to try a different model later, it's easy to switch between them in the settings menu. The model we're going to test today is multimodal. This means it can process not only text, but a range of media such as images or audio. You can see the model download progress at the top right. Models vary in size and capability. The size of the model you can run will depend on your PC specs. In this video, we're using an entry-level MacBook Air M4 with 16GB of RAM. This is the AnythingLLM program window. Let's send our first message. When you send the first chat message, it creates a default workspace called My Workspace and a chat thread within that workspace. The thread is named automatically based on the first message. Hovering over the thread title brings up an ellipsis which we can click to rename the thread if need be. You can create additional chats within the same workspace by clicking the new thread button. Now let's try dictating our prompt using the microphone button. Tell me some interesting facts about pandas. I'm not a panda expert, but this all looks fairly plausible. We can double check those facts later, but for now, it appears that the model is responsive and accurate. We're not connected to the internet and the AI is running entirely on device, pulling from its own knowledge. Let's try image recognition. I'm going to use this promo pic from the upcoming Legend of Zelda film. Fans will recognize this character as Link. As we can see, the AI has accurately recognized key features of the image, such as the fact it's male, the facial features, the expression on Link's face, and the background. Let's try another image. Let's have a look at the workspace settings. At the top right, you can change text size, but more importantly, enable personalization. It's a good idea to enable this if you want the AI to be able to get to know you over the course of the chat and remember key things about the conversation. You can see that once we enable personalization, the automatic memories option is also enabled. We have the option now to add custom memories. These are small pieces of key information that you add manually that you want the AI to keep in its current context as the conversation progresses. Think of context as the AI's short-term working memory. The memory is created within the current workspace by default, but if we click the ellipsis, we have the option to move the memory to the global space so that it applies across all workspaces. Now, for all chats, the models will know that my name is James. Clicking the cog on the workspace title on the left brings up more settings that pertain specifically to this workspace. Under General Settings, we can rename the workspace. You'll see that once we change the name, we get a blue Update Workspace button at the top right. It's important to click this now before going to the next tab or the changes won't be applied. As a rule, whenever you see this button pop up, click it before moving on. In chat settings, we can choose which model to use. The default LLM will be the one we downloaded during setup. We can leave this as it is or choose to override the default by clicking the drop-down. Selecting AnythingLLM as the model provider lets us use any offline models we've downloaded within the program. Chat mode is an important one. If we set it to chat, it gives us a straightforward basic chat experience with the LLM able to draw on its own knowledge plus additional knowledge from any documents you've added to its vector database. More on that shortly. Query mode tells the model to answer only if it finds relevant information in its database, while Agent is a task-oriented mode that works best with a model that can follow instructions and use tool calling. How well this works will depend on the model's capabilities. It can be hit and miss. For today, we're going to look mainly at basic chat and retrieval augmented generation. The system prompt is a standard instruction that the AI reads before every user query, which guides its tone and behavior. The default system prompt works well enough, and most users won't need to change it. However, feel free to experiment. Temperature controls how creative the model is when generating its answers. Higher numbers make the AI more creative, lower ones make it more factual and dry. If you're interrogating documents and don't need particularly flowery answers, you might wish to set this around the 0.1 or 0.2 mark. Higher temperature makes the model more improvisational and random and can increase the chances that the model will start to hallucinate or go wildly off-piste. The default of 0.7 seems to work well enough for basic chat, but again, do experiment with this number if you find that your output isn't quite right. You can add multiple workspaces. Each workspace is in essence a different chatbot. You can assign different models, system prompts and skills per workspace. This lets you tune each chat for a specific purpose. You might decide to make Workspace 1 your basic friendly chatbot companion, while making Workspace 2 a productivity space using a more task-oriented model and giving it access to a set of documents you'd like to interrogate. In Workspace 3, you might choose to connect to the account of an online model that you already subscribe to via an API key. As someone interested in local solutions, I don't necessarily recommend this, but the fact that the option exists is nice. It's there if you need it. This versatility is characteristic of AnythingLLM and helps to set it apart from many less capable programs. Let's familiarize ourselves with some of the features and settings in the main settings menu, which we can find by clicking the spanner at the bottom left of the window. I'm going to skip over a few of the more advanced features and just cover the basics today. Under AI Providers LLM, you can see a selection of models available for download with a brief description for each one. Some are multimodal, others are good at instruction following, others are better at just chatting, and some can do all of the above. Under voice and speech, we can choose the models for voice recognition and speech output. Hyper is a good option for text-to-speech, but requires a little additional setup on certain systems, especially macOS. If you have an 11 Labs subscription, you can also connect to that. Under Admin, we can change the default system prompt that's applied to every new workspace. Agent skills offer some potential for productivity, giving you control over how your AI completes tasks and the levels of access that it has. For example, whether it can go online or create documents. Community Hub lets you import pre-built skills and text commands published by other AnythingLLM community members. Some of these come from the AnythingLLM team at Mimplex Labs. It's always a good idea to check the publisher of the tool before you import it to make sure that you trust them. Under customization, we can set the UI preferences, for example, switching between dark and light themes. Under chat options, there's one particularly noteworthy option that you should turn on, which is to unload the model when you exit the program to free up RAM. It's also worth mentioning the browser extension in the Tools section. You can add this to your browser of choice. It lets you quickly import chunks of selected text from a web page or even entire web pages into the chat database. There's also an AnythingLLM mobile app available at this point only for Android in order to access your chats and workspaces on the go. The last thing to mention is that under the Privacy and Data section, anonymous telemetry is turned on by default, and although this is fairly innocuous, if you wanted a completely private offline experience, you might want to turn that off. One of the most useful features in AnythingLLM is Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. You can upload a variety of file formats to the AI's local database, which the LLM can then draw upon when compiling its output. Here's a list of fun facts about the fictional Acme Corporation. Let's pick out a couple of pieces of trivia about the company. The number of anvils that Acme sells per year, 14 million, as well as the name of the company's loyalty scheme, the Coyote Club. We're going to ask it about these two facts. In theory, it should get the answers wrong before we upload the document and correct afterwards. You can see it doesn't know the specific answers we're looking for, although it's still making a decent effort to answer them from its own built-in knowledge. Now let's see what happens when I add the document to the RAG database. It's as easy as clicking and browsing or dragging and dropping the file into the workspace and then clicking Save and Embed. Now let's ask both questions again. You can see that this time the AI answers both questions correctly because it's drawing not only on its own knowledge but on the document we just uploaded to the vector database. It also gives you a citation link just below the answer, which you can click on to view the chunk of text where the answer was located. That's Retrieval Augmented Generation. The generation of the answer is augmented with the retrieval of bespoke information. Now you could use this to query a large batch of documents like bank statements or instructional PDFs. You could even upload spreadsheets and audio recordings. The main limitations in AnythingLLM come down to your chosen model's capabilities, which in turn comes down to your hardware, notably your available RAM, VRAM, CPU speed and GPU speed. These will determine the size of the models you can run and the speed and accuracy of their output. A discrete GPU will generally run a given model faster than a CPU alone, and the amount of video memory or VRAM available on that GPU will be a determining factor in how large a model you can load. CPU speed plays a part, with faster processors able to pick up some of the slack or do all of the inference work if you don't have a dedicated GPU. These days, many models run reasonably well on just a CPU, although you'll probably find their output a bit slower than running them on a GPU. It's also worth mentioning that LLMs are essentially powerful word prediction engines, and as such they can occasionally fabricate answers, telling you things that are absolutely untrue with a persuasive and confident tone. These so-called hallucinations are an inherent property of the output of LLMs as a technology. Whether you're running a small model locally on your PC or using a top-of-the-line frontier LLM from a global tech company, adjusting the temperature of the output reduces the amount of randomness and thus creativity, and is one way to reduce the likelihood of this happening, but nonetheless, errors will occasionally, inevitably occur. Don't treat anything they say as gospel, and if in doubt, double check the output the old-fashioned way. It's an ongoing issue in LLM development, which makes large language models better suited to the role of casual chatbots, but not quite so reliable for anything mission-critical where the accuracy of the output is vital to the success of the task. Broadly, LLMs tend to lie 5 to 10% of the time. None of this is a criticism of AnythingLLM, of course, but of LLMs as a technology in general. Predicting the next word in a sentence is exactly that, a prediction, and predictions can be wrong. You're not going to get an experience on a home PC which has parity with something like Gemini or Claude, with their huge teams of engineers and gigantic data centers comprising squillions of GPUs. But for anyone looking for a decent chatbot experience that's also private and personalized, AnythingLLM is a user-friendly, versatile solution, giving you offline local AI while still being flexible enough to hook into a plethora of online providers too, if that's something you want. The Mintplex Labs development team adds new features fairly regularly. Sometimes these are not perfect at launch. This is, after all, free open source software, but I've watched it evolve over the last few years, and it's always nudging at the boundaries of what's possible on a home computer. I admire this ambition, and seeing features refined and improved over time. Certainly, if you're like me and you enjoy tinkering and testing, you'll be happy that they're there. There's also comprehensive documentation on the AnythingLLM website covering every aspect of the app, from setup through features and different types of deployment. If you'd like to see a future video exploring more of these advanced features in AnythingLLM, please let me know in the comments. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please like and share, and subscribe to see more videos from me in the near future. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.